What up, guys? So 2 weeks ago at the time of recording this, I found myself in the ER, in the emergency room, and afterwards everything seems to be okay. I have to have a few more tests done. I won't bore you with it. I'll tell you, if you guys want to know more about it, I'll tell you at the end of the video. But they told me I had to take it a little bit easier, meaning I can't roll super hard, which is not fun for me. So I've been having to take it a little bit easier with my training, and because of that, I've been diving into some stretches and mobility stuff. I've always been an inflexible person. Any of you inflexible jiu-jitsu people out there, you'll relate with this. Even as a kid, I remember being in Taekwondo class and I couldn't sit back on my heels where you're on your knees with your butt touching the back of your ankles. Could never do it back then. And again, I've always been a tight, sort of inflexible person. Now, I've been working on this for some time, but I ended up hiring a coach to show me some different stretches, and it's been great. Today we're gonna go through some of the ankle, knees, and hip stretches that I use and some of the exercises that I use that have been super helpful, so I hope they're helpful to you. And again, you know, this is stuff that I'm getting from my coach, so if you want to get a coach for some of that kind of stuff, you can check the links down below. I'll put his information there. Again, I get no kickback from this, but he's been super helpful to me, and so it's been useful to me, so hopefully it can be useful to you. Now, with the stretches, there are going to be some exercises and stretches. With the stretches, I'm typically holding and timing myself with my phone timer, for 45 seconds to about a minute. And then doing multiple sets. So each one's done for anywhere from 3 to 4, sometimes 5 sets, depending on how much time I have that day or what I'm working on. And then the exercises are typically done in a fashion where you have a long, prolonged hold time in some way. And so again, as you guys go through them, I'll have some little cuts in there to try to explain some of the details of the stretches, but otherwise they'll go through and you can follow along for yourself, and hopefully these are useful to you. So let's get into the stretches. So one of the areas that gives me the most trouble with any of my squatting exercises or anything like that is my ankles. I have notoriously tight ankles. They're getting better. But this is a nice exercise to throw into the mix, nice stretch. So instead of just going here and trying to push, when we're doing this, we're putting this kettlebell or this dumbbell right on top of the knee, and we're using this to load the stretch. And so there's all kinds of different cool stuff you can do with bands, but this is just gonna help load that stretch and again, get a little extra range of motion out of the position again. And as I'm doing it, I'm going in and out, holding, going back and forth, and just finding some nice movement in an ankle, and that one seemed to help out a bunch. So these elephant walks are pretty simple. You're just basically doing essentially a supported forward fold and then flexing the leg at the end, back and forth. And again, for some of you, like my wife, she's super flexible. This does nothing for her, so she doesn't need to do this. But for me, I've got tight hamstrings, right? So for me, this feels really good. And I always, whenever I'm doing any of this stuff where I'm doing quad stretches and flexion or sitting back on my heels, that makes my legs really tight. And after I do my hamstring stretch, which in this particular instance, it was the elephant walks, it makes my knees feel so good. For any of you guys that have had meniscus surgeries, doing that back and forth, the flexion, the stretching out the quad and then stretching out the hamstring back and forth along the ankles, it's done wonders for making my knees feel a lot better, even as I'm getting a little bit older. So any of you guys that have trouble sitting back on your heels like I have always had, or if you've had some knee issues, I had a meniscus tear, meniscus surgery on this knee back in 2004. And so again, this is my quote bad knee, right? It's the one that gives me the most trouble. And so this is a nice exercise, nice stretch where it's called flexion gapping. So basically we're gonna basically put a towel or something like that in there, and it's gonna smash in there. And if you have trouble sitting back on your heels, one of the things that helped me out to get like more depth is to basically put something back there that I can sit on and relax, and then constantly push in and out. And so when you see me doing this stretch, you'll notice I don't just sit here. I go in and out, see if I can get a little bit further back, in and out. Now, I'm not using this in the video, but if you have trouble with this kind of sitting back, one of the things you can do is you can start up as high as you need to, right there, and then slowly work your way back. Just something to give you some support as you're easing your body into that range of motion. That was something that helped me out with that position. But again, if you have like a knee that's a little janky like mine, this is a nice exercise, it's a nice stretch, nice little tool to throw into the mix. This one's a little funky, so before I'm doing the forward fold, right, from the position, and this one I'm turning back and looking over here at my toe, right? And that's to hit a different angle in the hip. This one is kind of interesting, and if you have a good eye for this kind of stuff, you'll notice that I tend to have, and we're all like this a little bit, and especially if you do jiu-jitsu and do different sports, I have different muscular imbalances on different sides. So like this is a little tight here, but then once I turn here, this side's way more open. And now you might be looking at this going, man, that looks like it'd be easy, and it may be for you. But for me, from doing jiu-jitsu and stuff, I've got to really look at some tight hips in certain positions. And it's interesting because I'll find that one hip, one shoulder, one ankle, or one knee, like there's different tightnesses all around. And again, just kind of sort of feel that in your body. And one of the things that I've been doing is trying to keep them somewhat in balance. So if I find that I'm really flexible on one side, I try not to go too far on the other side until I can get the other side sort of caught up, so to speak. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed those stretches. If you have any questions about them, you can drop them down in the links or the comments below. And yes, I'm sure some of you guys might be like mobility, flexibility gurus. And so obviously you're gonna look at this and be like, oh, Chewy, you should be doing this, whatever. I understand. Again, I've got a coach that I'm working with, and so I appreciate your comments. But again, I'm showing you at my not best, right? Again, it's so easy on social media to always show you the highlights and show you all the good stuff. I'm showing you at my not best, both something I'm not very good at with my stretching and stuff, but it's helping. And then on my flexibility and stuff, but also showing you with me where I'm having to, just take it easy per doctor's orders. Now I know what some of you guys are wondering, if you're a fan, right? You're watching this and saying, what happened? Why were you in the emergency room? So check it out. Basically, I was having some weird symptoms. I thought it was more of an upper respiratory thing. Went to the doctor, and they diagnosed me with pericarditis, an acute case of pericarditis, which they said could be brought on by like a million different things. And most likely at the time, because I was experiencing viral symptoms, they're like, this virus probably caused a problem. And so I have to go do some extra tests to make sure that there is no underlying issues. But so far, so good. Like so far, like they did all the blood work, all the CT scans, and everything came out just fine. So they're like, well, we just got to go a little deeper. But that said, I have to figure out what's going on and go through the whole thing, and I've got to take it a little bit easy. So today was the stretching. I'm doing some body weight stuff, and as far as my classes and stuff are going, I'm just teaching right now. But again, I figured it would be useful to show you guys, one, because I'm going through this thing, and we all go through stuff, and I feel like part of this thing that we're doing with YouTube is sometimes sharing stuff that, when it's good, but also sharing some stuff that's not so good, right? Like you guys have seen some of my losses that I've posted. You've seen me get submitted by my students and stuff like that. And again, I've told you guys lots of stories about me going through stuff. Well, this is me sharing me going through something as it's happening. And again, I'll let you guys know how things go once I get a little bit more information. But I'm not, I'm not kicking the bucket right now, but I just have to take it a little bit easier. So I'm working on my stretches and sort of take that as kind of a thing to sort of rally around, right? We're all going to experience crappy stuff, right? You can't control it. You can only control the things that you can control, right? That's a basic philosophy that's used in everything from Stoic philosophy to a million other things, right? I'm a big fan of the Stoics, right? So, but the idea is control what you can control. And so I can't control the fact that I can't train super hard right now because don't know what's going on. It would be best to chill out. And so I'll ask myself, what can I do? So I've been reading a ton, I've been working on the business a ton, doing the jiu-jitsu stuff, teaching, and for my physical health, I've been doing lots of walks and a lot of the stretching and stuff, and my body actually feels amazing. Like I actually feel really loose and everything else, and it's improving. So I'm excited to hopefully get back to normal, and when I get back, be able to have some new ranges of motion to play around with my flexibility and stuff like that. And if I look like maybe I'm getting a little bit smaller, I've lost a few pounds because I had to drop the food because I didn't want to like eat like I was training and then get all fluffy on the off time. So anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the stretches. Thank you guys for supporting the channel, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Also, Origin sent me a fun little thing. I have a pretty good relationship with Pete, the owner, and he sent me one of their new gis, and I'm gonna test this thing out. The only problem with it right now is that I can't roll. So the gi looks super cool. So I'll, again, thank you to Pete and everybody at Origin that supports me and hooks me up with some nice stuff. But I'm going to, when I get back to rolling, I'll put this to the test and I'll let you guys know how it comes out.